Okay, hi guys. Let me go back. Let me go back to where I was. Okay, so
Darla, everybody, you seeing the screen?
I'm
Yeah.
I'm
Yep.
seeing my screen.
Okay, we're
Okay.
good. And now look, you just broke 700. Awesome. Darla, you're gonna have to give me a cue. Just say next slide. Okay. And
Okay. 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 How about if I use
good.
a mustache for the next
There we
slide?
go. Okay,
Okay.
let's do it.
All right. So as I was saying before, I realized I wasn't sharing my screen. Sorry about that. So I was a cop for 18 and a half years, and I decided after being a cop to go follow my passion for interior design, and not to belabor the point, but Darla Powell Interiors became pretty successful relatively quickly because of our social media marketing. So we had designers coming to us saying, "Hey, you're doing so well at your social media marketing. I mean, you just popped out of nowhere. You're already visible. Can you do ours for us?" And Wingnut Social was born, and that's our marketing agency for interior designers. And we just kind of finally gave in and said, yeah, we can do that. Next slide. Okay, so one of the biggest pushbacks that I get from interior designers, even interior designers that come to Wingnut Social, is, you know, we get most of our business from referrals. We don't really need social media. Social media is kid stuff. We don't really get clients from social media. I've tried it. I've put up a couple of posts and nothing, you know, we've gotten nothing from it. So you may be doing that as a short game and throwing a couple things up, and it's no wonder, you know, you're not getting any traction from it, because social media is a long game and you want to be consistent with it. You want to post daily, because the people that are going to be your clients, and this happens 8 times out of 10 with Darla Powell Interiors, are kind of sitting back and watching you and seeing what kind of longevity you have, how you're comporting yourself, how you're interacting with your audience, what are you posting? Because the interior design business, to hire an interior designer is no small prospect, right? It's an expensive proposition. So these aren't people that are doing impulse buys for interior design. So you really have to nurture these leads that you get from social media. And this slide here with the 4 shots is just a few examples from pretty early on. I mean, we started our design business in 2017, March of full time. And one of these is at least 2 years old. And so these are a little bit older examples, but these are examples of posts that we did on the design side that clients saw or collaborators saw. Like the upper left corner, porcelanosa, we tagged them and they shared it. The upper right corner was some wainscoting that we did that a client called us, and we did a consultation for him and his $2 million home in the Gables. The lower left corner was a shot that PureWow actually picked up, just purely, no pun intended, or maybe intended, from the social media, and did an article on us, the 5 Miami interior designers who give us all the home inspo. And you can bet like hell that I have that client facing for them to see that, because it gives us a little more gravitas. And again, keep in mind that we've only been doing this full time for 3 years, right now, 3 years. Next slide, please. Because next slide. Okay, I can't see it. Okay, so why social media now? All right, so let's address, like I said before, if you weren't on, the pandemic in the room, right? The coronavirus. I don't want to sound insensitive, and I don't want to sound crass, because it's a serious thing. There are people suffering from it. The economy is really going, you know, it's not great right now because of it. We're all in it. We're all in it together. But you have to remember that people are at home, right? They're at home and they're kind of stuck. They're either binging Netflix or they're on their social media. And as a matter of fact, if you go to the next slide, you'll see that the statistics that are coming to us through the agency, through Wingnut Social, is that there's a whopping, so far, and this is just early on, 40% increase in usage on all of the social media channels, on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest. So if you are backing off and you're not doing social right now, you're not leveraging that for your business. You're not using I don't want to sound insensitive, but it is what it is, right? You're not using this captive audience to your benefit to get your brand and your name out there. And when we do get our brand and our name out there, it's not going to be in a crass, salesy kind of way. And I am going to get to that because that's super important, especially now in this climate, because you don't want your marketing to be tone deaf. Next slide. So also video. Listen, I get it. Listen, Sarah and Stacy will both tell you, I was like white as a sheet before I came on. I'm sure they were very nervous that they were going to lose me before this presentation. Video for me is a struggle. I do struggle with video, but you see live views on social for video has actually doubled so far. So this is a really good opportunity for you guys to get out there in front of your clients and not sell, not tell them, oh, here's our new e-design or here's our new virtual consultation. They're getting bombarded with that, but just to say, tell them how you're here for them. Maybe you're going to do a Q&A, you're going to do a Facebook Live and discuss some design techniques. Right now, you want to be in a very giving mode. You want to show empathy. You know, you don't want to ignore what's going on. You want to let them know that you're a human being and then you're in it together. And it's a big deal. Be present, talk about the coronavirus and address it. Now, at Wingnut Social and at DARLA Powell Interiors, we're actually doubling down on our social media, and not the frequency of posts, I mean, but just some of the investment that we're putting behind it by sponsoring posts. And I will tell you that our acquisition cost for sponsored posts, and I'll get into some of that later, has gone, price per acquisition, which means followers gained, et cetera, has gone down just because everybody's there. Everybody's herding to social. What else, seriously, what else are they going to do? Next slide, please. Okay, so where does this leave you guys out there to do your social media? First of all, you can't, I mean, you can, something's better than nothing. You can't just throw stuff up and hope it sticks. You have to have, I liken it to a business strategy for your business. You're not going to start a whole new business unless you're Natalie Graff and Amish. Sorry, not a whole new business without having a business plan, a business strategy, right? So for your social media marketing, it's not a toy, right? It's not for kids. It's a serious business. There's real ROI behind your social media, and you're going to need to outline what the hell it is that you want to get from it. It's not a hobby, right? If you have a design business, 9 times out of 10, your goal is going to be something like, I want new clients, I want paying clients. Or you might want to say, I want to be a brand ambassador for my dome, or I want to be a brand ambassador for Curry and Company. You might just want to be an influencer, period. You might just have a blog and you have a pretty house and you're redoing that, and that's your goal. Or maybe you want to, or you're designing furnishings and you're designing decor, and you want to get known for that. You want to get a licensing deal, or you want to get picked up for that. These are goals, and they can be all of them. They don't just have to be one. It helps to focus into one, but these are goals, and you're going to want to write these down and just figure out, just have like a little coming to Jesus moment and be introspective and say, okay, what do I want to get from this? Having a buttload of followers is super nice, but how is that helping the bottom line? Because what social media is so good at doing is it's like that force field, that entry to your funnel to bring clients in, to see you, to know about you, to get you to your website. Because think about it, how many people do you think are going to your website every day to check and see what you're up to? Nobody, right? I mean, chances are you have forgotten to even check your website. People are going to your social media for a live, updated, in the mix, up to date, what's going on with this designer that I follow. So that's super important. The second thing you want to think about for your strategy is your voice. You want that to be consistent. You want to know, okay, who am I? How do I want to compose and comport myself and project myself out to my following? And it doesn't necessarily have to be, I was going to say 100% authentic, but what I mean by that is, yes, you want to be yourself. You don't want to be something you're not. But what we like to say at Wingnut Social is that it's a curated authenticity, right? So I may or may not have sat on the by the sink last night and ate half a gallon of ice cream. Right, I'm not putting that on social media. So there's a limit to how authentic you want to get depending on what your end goal is and who you're trying to reach and what you're trying to get. So your voice is how is it that you're going to sound? Are you funny? Are you sarcastic? Are you authoritative? Also, how often are you going to post? Are you posting daily, twice daily, 4 times weekly, 5 times weekly? You want to write these things down and have that plan. Pardon me. Next is messaging. Okay, you need to also, part of your strategy needs to be for social media is your messaging is what we call the value proposition. And this is going to take some thought. Think about why you follow the people that you love to follow on your social channels. What is it that you get out of it? Is it how they make you feel? Is it that you get terrific design tips? Is it that you get to see the latest in the industry news? Whatever the case may be, this is going to be your value proposition. For DARLA Powell Interiors, they're going to get to see really pretty designs. They're going to see a cozy, down-to-earth, likable, I didn't write that, person on there with some occasional design tips. And this is what they get from that. And the wording is more specific, but we'll get into that. Next slide, please. Whoops, I went backwards accidentally. And content is content. Okay, so you want to figure out where is your target audience? And this can be difficult. So at Wingnut Social, we do recommend highly, and most of our clients really focus on Instagram. It's kind of a no-brainer, right? It's visual, we're interior decorators, we're interior designers, we have gorgeous work. We want that to be up in front of our clients to see this is our aesthetic, this is our style, this is how we work. But there's some interior designers, interior decorators who have a little bit of an older clientele, who post more design articles, more how-to, maybe some DIY stuff with more clickable links, and maybe Facebook is better for that. Now YouTube, Claire Jefford, who's already presented, I think with Nicole Heimer, she's killing YouTube. YouTube is terrific if you're very comfortable being on video. And one thing that we found out, Natalie and I on the Wingnut Social podcast, we did a demographic check of all of these platforms. And when I was doing my research, surprisingly, YouTube had the best demographics that would be ideal for a high-end interior design firm. Income, the highest percentage of income over 70,000, which is, the highest percentage there, the highest percentage of income that had a college degree. So myself included, I'm not that active on video. I'm not that active on YouTube. For me, it's mostly a time thing between the podcast and the design business and Wingnut Social, but that could be an excellent channel for you. So, but if you only had to pick one, most of our clients at Wingnut do pick Instagram just because of the ease of it and the efficacy. Is that a word, Jerry Cerruti? Efficacy, is that the right word? And with Pinterest being a close second, actually, truthfully. So it really just depends on what you're comfortable with. If you're a commercial designer and you get a lot of commercial work, or you want to get a lot of commercial work and do networking with architects and contractors and stagers, then you might want to consider having a presence on LinkedIn. So that's worked well for Natalie and me on the design side with making connections to contractors and some industry people on the Wingnut side also. We get a lot of guests for the podcast from LinkedIn. Natalie doesn't know this, but it's a true story. Next slide, please. How to create an Instagram strategy, because I'm going to focus on Instagram here because, like I said, you guys are all interior designers, and that is the #1 thing. There are some takeaways from how to create an Instagram strategy that you can use on other platforms, but these are specific to Instagram. Okay, so before I said that Darla Powell's value proposition was, a place where people can see beautiful images, design tips, finished home interiors, watch a motivating journey of someone likable. I didn't write. And creating and growing company with subtle tips. You're not going to see the other tricks and helpful rules of interiors. So how do you figure out what your value proposition is going to be? How do you figure out what your voice and your brand is going to be? One good way to do this, one exercise, is to kind of just sit with yourself and think, if you had to pick your brand's business in 5 to 7 words, description, what would it be? So for me, for my design firm, it's cozy, warm, modern, contemporary really is what that should be. Authentic personality, curated. Again, you're not gonna see me eating the ice cream. Well, maybe a Debbie cake. A real person with a sense of humor, and casual, not overly formal. So that's good. You want to be introspective and say, this is who I am. This is how I want my voice to be. But also ask people who are close to you. Ask them, hey, if you had to describe me or what you perceive my brand to be in 5 to 7 words, what would you say? What descriptive words would you say? And see where they align, or maybe there's something there that maybe you have this aspiration to be the queen of pink bedrooms, but that doesn't really go, just because it's popular, that's not really you, that's not really who you think, and no one else says, hey, she loves pink. That might be something you have to reconsider. Keep in mind, the Instagram's algorithm, even though it's terrific for interior designers, the algorithm anymore is really poop. To get the kind of followers that I got 3 years ago in the beginning is next to impossible, short of doing tricks or sorcery that rub people the wrong way. One of the things that you don't want to do, and I see big brands doing this all the time. I even have people reaching out to me in direct messages saying, can you tell so-and-so to stop doing this because I unfollowed them, I'm so offended. And that is doing the follow and unfollow thing. It works. It does work. Brands do get followers that way, but at what cost, right? So I've mentioned before on the podcast, and I'll say it now, I've had relatively big brands follow me, DARLA POWELL Interiors on Instagram, and I've been like, oh my God, so-and-so followed me, only to realize later that they unfollowed me because they were using a bot follow-unfollow program, and it did tremendous damage, brand damage to me, even though I'm only one person. Right? There's thousands of, of those people that's happening to. Please don't resort to that, because it's more than just having followers. It's more than just having numbers. You want to have engaged fans more than just the numbers, and we'll get into that also. So one of the things that you want to do when you post, these are the do's. I did say I don't, but I'm going to give you some do's, is to craft your post in such a way that when you do post it, you get engagement relatively quickly. Instagram hasn't really come out and said, okay, you have to get a comment in the first half an hour. That's kind of a myth, or the first 6 minutes or the first 3 minutes. But they also haven't said what it is. There is something there. So in our experience at the agency, the sooner you can get likes, comments, and engagement, the more that Instagram is going to show it to the remainder of your followers. Because right now what Instagram does is it limits your post, it limits the audience that it shows your post to, because it's waiting to see if it's hot and juicy. At least the AI, the algorithm's waiting to see if it's hot and juicy before they expose it to the rest of your followers. So one way that they see that is by likes and follows or comments. So another thing that's really important, especially on Instagram, not in the stories so much, and we'll get to that, is to post quality photos, photos that have poor lighting, photos that aren't well shot or well balanced. You can accomplish this with an iPhone, even if you know what you're doing. Linda Holt is a really good example of someone that takes terrific pictures with her iPhone. Also Jerry Cerruti, not a grammar reference, but an actual photographer reference on her page. She takes really good pictures with the iPhone, so you can, but it's important to line up some professional photos in there as well, and just make sure that they're pleasing, aesthetically pleasing. You want to, so that's improving the quality of your image. You want to use relevant hashtags, and we'll get into that a little bit more later, but you want to use hashtags that cover, that are appropriate for what you're using in the post. So if you just go and use a super popular hashtag thinking, wow, this is really hot and it's trending right now, and there's nothing in your Instagram post that supports that, Instagram will ding you for that. They really don't like to see that at all. Okay, don't, oh, I already did the follow and unfollow. I kind of got ahead of myself because I have a burning passion for that. I hate it so much. We do not do that at Wingnut Social either. I refuse, I will not do it. Don't write comments that appear like spam. We've all seen them.
Sorry to interrupt you, you're on a roll.
Yep.
What slide are you on? I want to make sure that I didn't.
8.
I don't see numbers. Does it say Instagram strategy at the top?
It says Instagram tactics.
Oh.
So I might be 2 away. I might have. I was on a roll.
You were. Look at all these great pictures. Oh.
Where's she?
No, you couldn't have been that far ahead.
Oh, yeah. No, you're way far ahead.
You gotta tell me to mix ahead. Go ahead.
You're way far ahead.
Are you way far ahead or behind?
You're way far ahead. Go back. Go back.
Don't look,
go
everybody.
Back. Don't look. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. Close your eyes.
Yes.
Keep going. Keep going.
I was like,
keep
there's
going.
no way we went through all this stuff. I'm sitting here listening.
It's going to say Instagram tactics.
Strategy?
Oh, that's it. Yes, that's it.
Oh, I was on the right one.
Were you? Oh, sorry.
You threw me for Instagram tactics. That's why
I'm sorry. I changed it in mine because it's not really a strategy as much as it is tactics. Okay, so more Instagram tactics. Okay.
All right, goodbye. I'm muting myself again.
Oh, no, please hop in.
No, no. I'm not hopping.
Okay, Instagram tactics. So we're going to go just a little bit over Instagram tactics to determine your audience, your content pillars. What the hell is a content pillar? A content mix, calls to action, engagement, and how you're going to reevaluate your performance. Okay, next slide. Next slide. Natalie's reminding me. Okay, so this is kind of titled funny, but for your audience, first of all, this is kind of an aside, but if you haven't figured out who your ideal client is for your business or who your ideal audience is, this is something you also need to sketch out and figure out what your ideal avatar is, which is a whole other presentation. So if you haven't done that, you can reach out to me at info@wingnutsocial.com and I will help you and I will walk you through that, but that's something to do so you can figure out who your ideal client is. Part of that is what I've already discussed, going through your voice and everything. Okay, so to be successful on Instagram though, and if you really don't have a clue, what you want to do is you want to look at other accounts that are in your genre or other accounts that you aspire to be, I want to say be like, because you want to be unique, but you have to have a similar following, to have a similar audience. And you want to see what they're doing. What are they doing that they seem to do well? Now, Instagram stopped letting us see likes on posts, like as far as numbers, but it's hit or miss. Some people can kind of still see them sometimes. They're kind of still playing with that. So if you can still see likes, you can actually see competitors' best performing posts and you can see what works for them and put your own spin on it. You don't copy them, you know, but just do something in the same genre, the same vein, and put your own spin on it. I mean, there's only so much variety. And that's a way you can learn from your competition. You can learn which images do well by checking that. You can also look and see in your insights, which we'll go over, and see which of your posts that you've put out have done better than others and what's working for you. You want to make sure that you create value and you distinguish yourself from your competitors. You don't want to be copycats from there. And that's where before we talked about the introspection and sitting down, how would I describe myself? What am I going to put out there? What is my value proposition? It takes a little bit of soul searching. It takes a little bit of work. And then once you figured out exactly how you're going to who your audience is, you're going to target them. Next slide, please. I guess it helps if I remember to say next slide. Sarah, you should be saying content pillars, right? Okay, content pillars. So what your content pillars are really the subject matter of what it is that you're going to offer. Remember earlier when I said we're not just throwing up anything to see if it sticks? There's actually an ideal mix of percentage of content pillars depending on what you choose is important to put out there. If you are a product designer, maybe one of these categories will be replaced with new designs, new products. Okay, so the first content pillar, especially if you're a veteran designer and you have a lot of original work, is your original design projects. You want to put finished pictures of room spaces. And here's something that's really kind of funny, and I think this is further in the slide, but I'm remembering it now, is that vignette shots don't do that great, right? So everybody's saying that if you don't really have a lot of work, if you don't have a lot of portfolio to speak for, you should use tight close-up shots and use vignettes. And if you don't have anything else, yeah, fine. But on the wing for the agency, they do at least half as well as bigger room pics. So just to be careful with that. Again, professionally taken images of your finished spaces. And this should be, we'll get to the percentage, but this is going to make up a certain percentage of your, one of your content pillars as an interior designer. Next slide, please. The next, progress or process pictures. Now, most of the time, process and progress pictures are going to live in your stories. But you can see these two photos here are actually pretty nice, right? You can see that there's a super cool fireplace going up, and it's actually interesting content. So we did put, I think the one on the right with Natalie on the feed to show clients, hey, look, we're hands-on. This is how you work with us. This is also another content pillar, which is the process picture. And you can show something partially finished, but just make sure that you have something in the image so the viewer knows, okay, this is partially finished. They're still working on it. They don't confuse it with a finished project. Next slide, please. Next content pillar, personality. You would be absolutely amazed, and maybe some of you are thinking, no, that I wouldn't, because that's me, on how many designers that come to us and we look at their social media and there is not a picture of them anywhere. Not a picture of them, not a picture of their staff, not a video, nothing for clients to see. Hey, if I invite these people into my house, how is it going to be to work with them? Needless to say, from this shot here, we get a lot of fun clients. We get a lot of really good to work with clients. And I'll say, when I first started out, we got a few red flaggy clients before I kind of figured out the secret sauce. And actually getting out there and putting out my personality and being authentic. Now 95% of the clients to come to us end up being friends or are a joy to work with. So don't be afraid to show personality. Don't be afraid to show yourself working. Don't be afraid to show yourself doing things other than design. To show you're a human being with outside interests. That's fine. That is there's a certain percentage for that too. Next slide, please. If you happen to be at industry events, you can show, whoop. Next slide, Sarah. Somebody wake up Sarah. Is it on it now? No? Okay, cool. Thank you, Sarah. Okay, if you happen to be at industry events, you can post this every now and then, sparingly in the content mix, depending on what's important to you. To me, public speaking is important to me. I want people to see, hey, I do this from time to time, even if I forget to share my screen. So hopefully they'll invite me back. So that's something else that you can put on there. Any panels or presentations or workshops or anything to tell your clients, look at me, I am constantly learning, constantly honing my craft. And this is why you're gonna wanna hire me. Next slide, please, Sarah Daniele. If you get any press, again, you might wanna put that in there. You wanna post that to your social media, just to let your clients know, even if you got lucky like I did off the bat and got pressed because of the networking through social media, the clients see that and they say, oh, you know, she must be legit. She's the real deal. And they won't be as reluctant to pay those rates that you want to charge. So if you have press there you go. Or if you don't have press yet, you can post, especially on Facebook, articles that you enjoy to read about interior design. Designers Today has some great articles. Business of Home has great articles. Not so much on Instagram, but on Facebook you could do that. Next slide, please, Sarah. Content, and this is another content pillar, testimonials. Now this is after you've been in the game for a hot minute and you actually have some reviews. Every now and then you can post a review on there. This is one of the, remember I said 80-20? Where it's really 100% now with the coronavirus situation, but 80-20 is give. This is kind of the 20, right? You're reminding your people following you, this is a business, this is a good business, look at the reviews you get, don't you want to hire us? Even though it's not saying hire us, it's saying you want to hire us. Okay. If you don't have testimonials, again, because you can use, this is a good point, I just got reminded here, you can use quotes. Sometimes quotes do really well, it depends on the quote, but if you're really at a loss, you don't have a vignette, you don't have original material, you don't have inspo that you feel comfortable sharing, which is a hot topic for another show, another webinar, you can use a quote that means something to you. Now, especially now during the coronavirus situation, those are doing incredibly well. Next, please, Sarah. Vignettes and close-up shots. Again, this is more for the newbie designers, the baby designers. $1 to Luann Nagara. I'm obligated every time I say hashtag baby designer to use vignettes and close-up shots. I think these are pretty cool pics. I especially really like the one on the right, but for some reason, statistically, they don't do as well. But if you're new and if you want to break up a room so you have more material to share, this is a good way to do it. So, because it's better to have 50% of something than, 100% of nothing going up. Next slide, please. Okay, so here's the content. Here's the percentage that I promised you for content mix. This is for the hashtag baby designers, $1 to Luann. This is pretty evenly broken up. And again, when you go over your insights at the end and you see what's performing well for you and what isn't, and I'll show you how to get there, you might change this up. But if you're a newer designer, you can see only 20% of the original design, only 20% is original design projects, because hello, right? You just started. You really don't have a lot of design projects. Even us, having been in business for 3 years, we have remodels and stuff and we had 2 photo shoots getting ready to be done now, but where are they? No. So we're doing a lot of inspo and a lot of pulling stuff out of our butt, with the formula, but still. So so it's kind of like, I mean, we are new designers. I'm not, we are new. 20% vignettes, because again, you have to fill that space. 20% process pics. Remember to make sure there's something in it so the client knows this is going to be beautiful. It is in progress. This is how they work. 20% pics of you. I can't stress enough, the posts that do the best for Wingnet and DARLA POWELL Interiors, generally speaking, are posts of me, Natalie, Johanna, or anyone on my staff or my team that shows personality and shows how they're working. So don't be shy. Post those. Those do really well. And I can't tell you how many clients have said, I saw your picture, I saw your video on your IGTV, and I just felt like I knew you and I really wanted to work with you. And then 20% quotes or testimonials, because you need content, especially if you're posting every day or once a week. Next slide. Okay. I went backwards. Next slide. Okay. So for veteran designers, you're gonna have assets, right? You're gonna have photography and stuff that you've done. So 60% of your content should be original design projects, 15% process pics. You can up that percentage too in your stories. Process pics can, some of the uglier process pics, and I say ugly, I mean, you know what I mean, the more dusty, more down and dirty ones can be in your stories. 15% pics of you, 5% quotes or testimonials, and 5% press as it occurs. If you're Taylor Spellman, you get press every day, then that might change a little bit for you, but this is the general breakdown for that. Next slide, please. Okay. Remember before I talked about the 80-20 rule, when everything does get back to normal, you want to give, provide value for 80% of that, right? And 20% of that, you can ask a little. You can say, hey, follow us over in Facebook. You can say, listen to my podcast. You can say, here we are, book a virtual consultation, book a consultation. But for now, during this, don't sell. Really don't. I know what you're saying, Darla. We have to make money. It's still a business. And the truth of the matter is that what you're doing by being 100% give right now is, when this all does come to normalcy, those people that you made feel good, that you made feel comfortable, and you weren't chilly and salesy to, are going to remember you and hire you when they're ready. That's just the name of the game. It's not easy. I mean, the whole world is in it. Everybody's a little stagnant right now. Nobody's going to be making a killing. So this is the way to leverage this moment. Next slide, please. All right. Okay, this is towards one of my last points. I can't believe I'm running a little long. Engaging with your community. Okay, this is crazy important. If you are posting and you're doing everything else that I said, but you are not commenting back to people who are engaging with you on your Instagram, Facebook, or wherever, don't do it. Don't even bother. Don't do it, because you're going to turn off people and make people feel unheard, unimportant, unwelcome, like they don't even matter to you, unless you can get in there and you can say, well, this is Lisa Christine. Papelka. She's amazing. She was on the podcast. She's everywhere. So you can learn a thing or two from her, let me tell you, with her visibility. Get in there, make sure you're engaging. You're talking to the fans. You're talking to the people following you. They want to feel heard and they want to feel part of your community. That's how you build the super fans. Next slide, please. Okay. So say you've been doing this for 2 weeks or a month, you want to see, okay, what's doing well for me? So you want to go to your insights on your Instagram page and just see, you can go post by post and it'll tell you what your reach is, what your impressions are, how many likes you have. And maybe that vignette for you was so stunning that it was one of your top performing posts. Well, have at it. Keep shooting them like that. Keep doing vignettes like that. You're definitely the outlier for our statistics, but everybody's going to be different. And you can see, like here, how many phone calls, website clicks, profile visits, reach, and you can see that for each post. And if something in there, once you get going and once you get accustomed to looking at these numbers, you'll start to see patterns and you can throw out the low performing stuff and you won't repeat it. Next slide, please. Okay, and last but not least, remember I said that we were doubling down a bit at DARLA, Powell Interiors, and Wingnet Social because we have a unfortunate, but it is what it is, captive audience because of the coronavirus. So these are a couple of posts that I did promoted on Instagram, and I put them out there for, I want to say, I put them for 30 days, but neither one has run 30 days. Neither one has run the full length of time. And this is the results that we've received from them so far. And impressions are people who have seen the post. Reach is the people who you have reached who weren't following you already, and follow speaks for itself. And I'll say right now on Instagram, remember I was saying that that algorithm is poop? It really is. The only way, short of waiting forever to grow your account slow, the only way to grow your account faster with people who are really interested in what your content, because they're not stupid. They're in the business to make money. And I think that's it. Next slide, Sarah Daniele. Question and answers. Ta-ta. Sarah, you there?
I'm here.
Hey! Yay!
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 We got lots of questions.
Woo! Okay, I'll do my best.
People were here at the peak.
Sure.
Like 800. Yeah.
All right. That doesn't make me nervous at all.
Right?
I need more whiskey. Woo! Or maybe I don't.
Want to be better? Okay. So what time is it?
We have 3:49. I have.
Okay. You've got so many questions.
My favorite color is blue.
Okay. Lindsay Wolf asks, could we talk about your thoughts on personal material on your business accounts? Do people appreciate getting to know you, or is it unprofessional?
No, it depends again. Like I said, if I'm in my pajamas with a hole in them eating ice cream over the sink, that's probably not really going to help an elevated interior design business, my brand. But yeah, it does help. In fact, my business, I mean, DARLA Powell Interiors took off relatively quick, but it seriously turned a corner when I said, you know, I'm going to be transparent to the point to where I'm going to get out there. I'm going to say, you know, I'm married to Natalie. Okay, so that was a big step. I'm a little unique and my sense of humor is a little bit off the wall. And when I started actually being comfortable in revealing that side of me, ideal clients came in. Not only clients come in, but clients came in that weren't red flaggy, that wanted to work with me. So absolutely. I mean, stay away from politics, stay away from religion, unless your brand is super religious oriented for some reason and that's your thing. I'm no judgment, or I mean, if that's what you want to do, but it's crazy helpful. Don't be shy about that at all. And be true to who you are, because what happens is when you go into these people's homes, it's an intimate setting. And if you're something different than what you were on your social, there's going to be a disconnect there, right? So you, from the get-go, it's like you're already friends. They already know who you are. I'd highly recommend it.
I love that.
Thank you.
Okay, here's a basic question for Miss Darla. I'm following more people. I'm following more people that are following me. Is that good or bad?
You know, it's okay. I do the same. It depends. If I have interior designers that follow me, or if, especially on the Wingnet side too, I will follow them back because I think you're allowed to follow up to 7,000 people. It's really no skin off your butt. If you're doing it for business and you're not looking at Instagram for pleasure, it's not really going to bog you down. And I think it's appreciated. Now, there is going to come a time to where you're not going to be able to follow everybody you want to follow back because there's a limit to it, but I do it. So I think it's nice. People love it when I follow them back, and I think it would be the same for you.
Great advice. Okay. Mikkel Design says, I'm not a super social media guru. What are your thoughts on paying someone to do it for me?
Well, I own a social media marketing agency, so I'm pretty pro paying someone to do it for you. I will say this, in the very beginning, I had a buttload of time because I didn't have clients, you know, as a baby designer, $1 to the win. If you can do it yourself and you can go through and take some of these tips and glean some of this and learn and do it yourself, I would do it yourself. But once you start getting clients, you know how time consuming that can be. And at your hourly rate, or at least what you should be charging, it makes way more sense to delegate someone to do your marketing for you than it is for you to sit and do something that you're not, that you might not even like, which most of the designers come to us hate doing their social, or you know don't really understand the strategies or the marketing behind it, or you can't even keep up with it. Changes daily. I highly recommend it. Delegate, you know, your bookkeeping, delegate your marketing, and free yourself up to give those clients that excellence on the design and project management side, however that is, because it's crazy time consuming, and there's a lot. You can see just that this was a basic presentation. It gets way more complicated. You can see there's a lot to it.
Okay, questions. There's a whole bunch all around images.
Okay.
So what happens if I'm just starting out and I don't have a portfolio to share yet? Mm-hmm. What's the etiquette around sharing other designers' work?
Mm-hmm. So that is a hot topic.
Filling a feed if I don't have my own work. Mm-hmm.
That's a hot topic. So what you want to do, and what we do on Wingnet is we have a hashtag. It's called Wow Wingnet. If you're an interior designer and you want us to share your work and you're okay with that to broaden your reach, just use hashtag Wow Wingnet on your posts. So you can do that. You can say, if you see someone else's work, you can say, this is a beautiful inspo. Do you mind if I share it? Just reply with yes, or or hashtag Wow Wingnet or whatever, and share it, only making the post about how amazing their design is, how great their work is, and how much you appreciate the aesthetic from your point of view. Now, if they're in, you can do this because a rising tide lifts all boats, but I'm in Miami. I'm not doing too many inspo posts of designers in Miami. So you want to use some common sense there, you know, unless they're a good friend or you have some kind of arrangement there. But always ask permission, and always credit them. Don't not credit them. And it's a hot topic. And if it's something you don't feel comfortable doing at all, then just keep using the quotes, the vignettes, the testimonials. Go to Marshall's, go to TJ Maxx when things get normal. Have someone shoot you picking up a vase, looking at a lamp. You know, there's so much stuff that you can do, but it is a beast. It is a beast to fill. We do recommend inspo post at Wingnet for those clients who are comfortable with it. The original designers always thank the hell out of us for sharing it because they get traction, they get followers, they broaden their reach, they get new eyes on their work that wouldn't see it otherwise. And it also broadens the poster's reach. So it's a win-win. But I understand that there's some people who just are against it and don't like it, and that's fine. It depends on what you're comfortable with.
There's a bunch of questions about different stats.
Okay.
So this is a two-parter. Can you describe, if you can, where to find the insights on Instagram, like some of the data points you were talking about? Yeah. And in your opinion, what is the most important stat to look for?
Okay, so if you go to let me go to Wingnet Social here, and you go to our latest picture here. I don't know if you can you see that?
Yep.
Where it says View Insights. This is today's post for Taylor Spellman. If you just click on that, View Insights, it says how many people visited my profile, visited my website, how many impressions I have, how many follows I have. The most important stat there really depends on what your goal is, right? Do you want to grow followers? I mean, we got followers from this one. Do you want to send people from your website? They went there. Do you want them just to come to your profile? there's the reach. Do you want to broaden your audience to people who are unaware of your brand and see what your reach is? It really just depends when you work out your strategy, what your end goal is. Some people might not care about getting the actual followers, or some people might not care about getting the website, but maybe they just want to do brand awareness and they just want to increase their reach. So it really just depends. But on each and every one of your posts, you can see if you go down to that view insights, it breaks it down really, really nice for you there, if you can see it.
Thank you. Yeah,
You're welcome.
see it. Perfect. Another question that comes up all the time: how often should you be posting to a feed? We're not talking about stories here.
Mm-hmm.
And is there a best time of day to do it?
Yes and yes and yes and no. So at Wingnut, we recommend 4 to 5 times a week, no less. There is a best time of day, but the thing is it's different for everybody. So you'll see articles out there to say, this is the best time to post to Instagram. This is the best time to post to Facebook. But what they've done is they've taken a huge audience and just kind of seen where the curves are, but that might not be where your audience is in your city or in your part of the world or for your genre. So you have to actually look and see with, there's programs that say, what time, actually, if you go to the insights, there's some on that too, for your insights to see what time should be on there. From home, from location, okay, no. So that's just some, because we're, partners with Sprout Social. So we have that ability at the agency to see on each individual account, what's the best times to post for that individual account. So it's different for everybody. So one way to do that is just to try to experiment posting at different times and see what traction you get. And this is the trial and error. If you posted a quote that did super gonzo and you posted at 5 p.m., let's say that's a pretty good time when things are normal, and then you tried it again at 2 p.m. and it didn't do that well, then you're going to know, okay, 5 p.m. is a better time for me. So it's really just kind of, shooting it out and seeing what's good for you. And that's the trial and error again. But there are some apps on there that will say, if you go to, you can just Google, best time to post on Instagram, that can read your Instagram account. You have to be okay with logging in and giving them your logins. It'll say when your audience is online, but some of those are kind of dubious. I would prefer to just go and do trial and error way, but it really is different for everybody. There is no real accurate blanket answer for that.
Just talking a bit about tools, are there any apps or tools that you recommend that somebody should invest in or look into for their social media?
I think the lowest, like DARLA proof one is Hootsuite for just the daily user. Like I said, we are agency partners with Sprout Social. There's a little bit of a learning curve to that. It took me a hot minute to learn Sprout. Sprout's very robust though. All these metrics that are more in depth than what Instagram will give you, Sprout has. Hootsuite does have some too. Later is a really good app. Some things you might want to try for your video, or there's an app called InShot, which can help dress up your video. There's an app called Over, which can really help with your stories. Oh, and speaking of being prolific with your stories, it's best if you can just keep your stories constantly populated. They live for 24 hours, so it's a little easier if you can put in a post every 24 hours there, and they don't have to be as pretty. So
thank you.
You're welcome.
So Kate asks, if you're not active on Instagram or Facebook up to this point, is launching these during the COVID-19 pandemic a good time to start? Should we wait until the pandemic is over?
No, I don't think so. I mean, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, right? The second best time to plant it is today. You can go in there, you can start your account. It depends on what your traction is going to be, and how you're going to approach your audience is going to have to be sensitive to the current situation, right? You can say, I'm Susan McNuggets. I am starting my interior design firm in this industry, or, and here's some pictures of my house while I'm isolated at home. Here's pictures of my home office, that kind of thing. It's going to be a little harder now, I think, to start an account from scratch and get that traction, but it's better to do it. I think it's better to do it now than wait later, because then if you're already putting yourself front of mind for people who are, again, remember, 40% up and 50% up for video engagement, if you're putting yourself in front of an audience, then when things do get better, you'll have some traction already established. I would do it now. That's just
Yeah,
my gut reaction.
I'm clearly not the pro here, but I do want to share a great little story. Right before we hopped on here, a small local business, I've never actually been there, but I decided to go check them out because they had a friend had shared the post with me. They very, very minimal anything online. They're like a mom and pop shop off the highway. You drive in, you get your stuff. Under the current circumstances, they've decided to host Easter brunch for everybody, and they'll deliver it to you within a certain radius, or you can come pick it up. It's blowing up on social media within a decent sized radius, like on the east side of Ottawa, which is completely opposite direction of where this is. And, that's maybe 70 kilometers, I'm showing my Canadian side away. Like it's not close. And this little mom and pop shop who doesn't do anything online, but people are just so excited by this opportunity to get some crepes and quiche and other things delivered or to go pick them up. It's kind of miraculous. So, there's a great example of why not just start? You never know who's watching.
Yeah,
that everybody's at home right now paying attention. This great little mom and pop shop just is overwhelmed. Like they're almost completely booked or they can't do anything else.
Yeah, just be cognizant of the current circumstances. Come to it from a place of humanity, understanding and authenticity, and you should be okay. Just don't be shilly. Don't be salesy right now.
No, and it was so authentic. They just said, you guys can't have Easter brunch and and so we want to bring it to you. And if you want it here, yeah,
I'll take some.
That's what I said. I'm like, I'll come and get that. I just thought it was really a sweet story.
Yeah, I love it.
Stacy, I don't think it's the Stacy that's sitting in the background, but another Stacy says, love you, Darla. Can you talk a bit about video and how we see those doing? Are there any insights on stories?
On stories or video?
Maybe she can explain a bit more.
Okay, so if we're talking stories are Instagram's baby, and they have rocketed. They're doing really well. So if you have a really good Instagram feed and you don't have stories, or you aren't doing stories, you're not taking advantage of the leverage and the algorithm, because Instagram loves people that do stories. And not only that, but stories are discoverable, right? And you can put hashtags in the stories, and they can be very discoverable. For that video itself, now Instagram said, no, we don't really favor video over still pictures. One isn't really favorable over the other, but in our agency, we have definitely found that video does way better. And if you want to get your personality seen by potential clients, there's really no better way, than to do video and to see that. That's really what, and I've been remiss. I haven't done as much video as I should because I've been swamped, but that's really how I've gotten a lot of my clients on the design side. It's just super helpful to do. Who does a lot of video and does it well, besides Claire Jefford, is Luann Nagara. Holy cow. I mean, I don't know where the woman gets the energy or the time, but she's certainly not hurting because she's doing video. I highly recommend it. I mean, don't overdo it. I was doing, when I had a little bit more time, I was doing like one video in the grid, like every 9, and I need to get back to that. I've been kind of lazy about that, but it's very effective.
Easy to drop off.
Yeah.
So you've now hit 109 questions. We are not going to get through those because after 4, I'd like to ask one more question. It might take us 20 minutes to answer. Could you just shed any general light on your opinion around promoted posts on Instagram, Facebook? Like, there's tons of questions about it. Should I be doing it? Should I not? Should I turn it off for the time being? It's a loaded question. It's huge. Any general idea you can
I think if you have something selly or shilsy, thank you for asking that. Actually, just reminded me of something. You wouldn't want to promote that. But if it's just promoting your account and you're to follow you on Instagram or Facebook, or here's a pretty room, or how are you guys doing? Like I said, here's the home office, where something sympathetic, empathetic. I think that's fine. Like I said, we're doing it, and we've gotten nothing but positive reaction to it. Don't be posting things like, oh, now we're in a pandemic, my consultations are half off. that does nobody any good, at least of all you, because you don't want to devalue your services at this time. If anything, you want to offer something smaller scale service. But again, that's another webinar. I'm doubling down. I think that you have to make the best of it. You have to leverage the audience that you have, and just think, if you were to spend $1,000, let's say, on Google Ads, you would get way more traction and reach a way more targeted audience and be way more effective taking that same $1,000 and spending it on Facebook. I just, to me, it's, I'm in a social media marketing agency. To me, it's a no-brainer for sure.
Okay, so don't stop the promotions.
Yeah.
Like I said, okay, officially 110 questions. Darla, like we've done to the others so far.
Sure.
Would you be willing to follow up afterwards in some way? I can send you these questions because there's some amazing ones in here. I mean, we're just
I'm
not
sure.
them.
Yeah, I'm happy to.
Okay. So I just want to thank you again for your time today. This was a great presentation.
Thank you so much.
You are so welcome. Got my head spinning again, just thinking about everything, always. Hey, Stacy.
Spinning like a wingnut.
I just want to say thanks and goodbye. It was a fantastic presentation. And since you like stats so much, that's about 3 times the number of questions anybody's had.
Maybe that just means I was that confusing.
No, I think it's a topic everybody, yeah, and
take the compliment.
Feel free.
Thank you.
For sure.
Thank you.
Oh, there was
now that it's over.
There was one question that seemed really important. It was from someone named Ginger. And the question was, what are you doing later?
On that note.
Yeah, on that note.
Thank you. This is the end of day, I'm getting them all confused. Day 3. We're done.
Wednesday. It's Wednesday. We're done.
End of day 3. So tomorrow, we're back again at 11. And we got 3 more sessions tomorrow. And if everybody is free and not tired of hearing our voices and seeing our faces, we're doing a wrap up tomorrow at 5 o'clock, and it's going to be fantastic. And there might even be some Little Debbie cakes. I'm not sure. Just.
Ooh, I'm there.
Well, I mean, I thought you were bringing them. Just.
Oh.
Yeah, we can't get those in Canada. You'll have to bring them.
Yeah. Wait, you really don't have Debbie cakes in Canada? That's like that's like against the Geneva Convention or something. That's
don't
terrible.
You not have Kinder eggs?
What?
See,
they don't.
They can't have them. They're illegal. I'll bring the Kinder eggs and you bring the Little Debbie cakes.
Okay, deal.
Okay, I'll see you tomorrow.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.